Before you ever learn where to place your hands, learn where to place your heart. Because the most unforgettable hug is never about technique. It is about making another human being feel safe, respected, and genuinely valued. And when someone feels that from you, something beautiful begins to change. Not because you forced attraction, but because you earned trust. There is a quiet truth that many people spend years chasing without ever understanding. They search for secret words, hidden signals, magical moves, and psychological tricks that promise instant attraction. They watch countless videos hoping someone will reveal the one gesture that makes another person fall for them. But life has a strange way of humbling us. The people who leave the deepest impression are rarely the loudest. They are rarely the ones trying to impress everyone around them. They are the ones whose presence feels peaceful. They are the people who understand that confidence without kindness becomes arrogance, and affection without respect becomes selfishness. Think about the people you have trusted most in your life. Was it because they knew clever tricks? Or was it because they made you feel emotionally safe? That is where today's journey begins. A hug is one of the most powerful forms of communication between two human beings. Before a single word is spoken, before a smile is fully understood, before promises are made, a hug can quietly answer one question every heart is asking. Am I safe with you? If your answer to that question is yes, your hug will already be different from most. I remember hearing a story about a young man who believed relationships were all about saying the perfect thing at the perfect moment. Every conversation became a performance. Every date became an interview. Every interaction felt like a test he had to pass. He thought confidence meant never showing uncertainty. He thought attraction meant always being in control. And because he was always trying to control the moment, he never actually experienced it. One evening he met a woman who noticed something unusual. "You never relax," she told him. At first, he laughed. "I'm relaxed." She smiled gently. "No, you're trying to look relaxed." Those words stayed with him. For the first time, he realized there is a difference between performing confidence and becoming peaceful. That lesson changed every relationship that followed. Many people think attraction begins with appearance. Others think it begins with conversation. But emotional connection often begins with presence. Presence is difficult to fake. It is the ability to make another person feel that, for this moment, they matter more than your ego. Imagine greeting someone you genuinely care about after weeks apart. When you hug them, are you thinking about how attractive you look? Or are you simply grateful they are standing in front of you? The heart always knows the difference, and so does the other person. Now let us speak about something many people overlook. A respectful hug always begins before physical contact ever happens. It begins with eye contact that feels warm rather than demanding. It begins with a smile that says, "I'm happy to see you." It begins with paying attention to whether the other person is comfortable and welcoming the tend. Consent is not an obstacle to connection. It is the foundation of connection. When both people genuinely want the embrace, the hug becomes something shared instead of something taken. That changes everything. Have you ever noticed how different two hugs can feel, even when they last the same amount of time? One feels rushed, the other feels sincere. One feels like obligation, the other feels like home. The difference is rarely about technique. It is about intention. Your hands cannot communicate what your heart refuses to carry. If your intention is to manipulate, people eventually feel manipulated. If your intention is to impress, people often feel pressured. But when your intention is simply to express appreciation, affection, and respect, your body language naturally becomes calmer, softer, and more genuine. One of the simplest yet most meaningful gestures during a mutual hug is allowing your hands to rest naturally and respectfully on the upper back or shoulder blades, without gripping tightly or lingering in ways that create discomfort. It communicates steadiness rather than possession. It says, "I'm here with you," instead of, "I'm trying to control this moment." That difference may seem small. It is not. Because relationships are rarely built on dramatic moments. They are built on thousands of tiny moments that quietly answer the question, "Can I trust you?" Trust grows when your actions consistently match your character. That is why emotional maturity is attractive. Not because it creates magic, but because it creates peace. And peace is becoming increasingly rare in a noisy world. The strongest person in the room is often not the one demanding attention. It is the one who makes others feel seen. Imagine two men entering the same gathering. The first spends every minute trying to prove his worth. The second spends every minute making others feel appreciated. Months later, whose presence do people remember? Not because he entertained them, because he valued them. People remember how they felt around you long after they forget your exact words. That truth reaches far beyond relationships. It applies to friendships, families, leadership, parenthood, even strangers. The greatest influence is rarely loud. It is deeply human. If you want your embrace to mean something, become the kind of person whose kindness exists even when nobody is watching. Become someone who listens more than speaks. Someone who apologizes when wrong. Someone who keeps promises. Someone whose respect does not disappear when life becomes inconvenient. Because the most meaningful hug never begins with your hands. It begins with your character. And once your character speaks, your body language simply echoes what your heart has already said. That is the lesson many spend years searching for, while believing the answer was hidden inside a clever technique. In reality, it was hidden inside, becoming someone worthy of trust all along. There was another lesson that life whispered long before most of us were willing to hear it. Human beings rarely remember the exact conversation that changed everything. They remember how someone made them feel when words were no longer necessary. Have you ever embraced someone after they had experienced a heartbreaking loss? Neither of you spoke. Neither of you searched for perfect sentences. There was simply a quiet moment where your presence became louder than language. That is the kind of connection people spend their lives searching for. It cannot be manufactured. It cannot be memorized. It cannot be copied from someone else's personality. It grows from emotional honesty. Many people become nervous the moment affection enters the picture. Their breathing changes. Their shoulders tighten. Their mind races with endless questions. Am I doing this right? Does she like me? What if I ruin the moment? Ironically, those questions pull them away from the very moment they are trying to create. Real connection lives in the present, not in the fear of what might happen 5 seconds later. Imagine walking through a park at sunset. Two people have spent hours talking, laughing, discovering pieces of each other's stories. When it is time to leave, they naturally move toward a hug. Neither person is trying to impress the other anymore. There is no performance, no invisible competition, only gratitude. As they embrace, one person gently places a reassuring hand on the other's upper back, matching the warmth and comfort of the shared moment, rather than trying to create something artificial. It is calm, respectful, unforced. The hug lasts only as long as it feels natural for both people. When they step back, they smile. Nothing dramatic happened. Yet somehow both walk away feeling closer. Why? Because authentic affection never needs to announce itself. It simply leaves peace behind. This is where many people misunderstand attraction. They believe attraction grows from excitement alone. Excitement may spark curiosity, but emotional safety sustains connection. Anyone can create excitement for a moment. Very few people create peace. And peace has extraordinary power. Think about the people who always make you feel comfortable. Notice how they never rush you. They never pressure you. They never make every interaction about themselves. Instead, they pay attention. They notice your expressions. They recognize your comfort level. If you seem uncertain, they slow down instead of pushing forward. That is emotional intelligence. It is one of the rarest qualities in modern relationships. You see, respect is attractive because respect communicates value. When someone knows they never have to worry about their boundaries being ignored, they relax. When they relax, genuine emotion has room to grow. No trick in the world is more powerful than making another person feel genuinely respected. There is a story about an elderly couple who had been married for more than 50 years. One afternoon, a young reporter asked them the question everyone wanted answered. "What is your secret?" The husband smiled but remained silent. His wife answered first. "He never tried to win me." The reporter looked confused. "What do you mean?" She laughed softly. "He spent 50 years choosing me instead." Those words carried a wisdom that many never discover. Winning is temporary. Choosing is daily. Winning asks, "How do I get what I want?" Choosing asks, "How do I help this person feel loved and respected today?" That difference transforms relationships. People often think romance is built from grand gestures, but lasting affection usually grows through ordinary moments repeated consistently. Holding the door, remembering details, listening without interrupting, respecting a boundary without making someone feel guilty, offering encouragement without expecting praise, giving a hug because it feels right for both of you, not because you're hoping for a particular reaction. Character is revealed in consistency. Anyone can behave well for 10 minutes. Maturity is behaving well when nobody is keeping score. If your kindness disappears when you don't receive immediate attention, it was never kindness. It was a transaction, and people eventually recognize the difference. The truth is that confidence does not come from believing everyone will like you. Confidence comes from knowing you can remain respectful, even if they don't. That changes everything, because now your actions are no longer controlled by fear. You become free to be genuine. You become free to appreciate someone without trying to possess them. You become free to enjoy a conversation without turning every interaction into a test of your worth. That freedom is incredibly attractive because it removes pressure from the relationship. People feel lighter around emotionally secure individuals. They breathe easier. They laugh more. They become more themselves. And isn't that what real connection should accomplish? Not making someone become someone else. Helping them feel safe enough to become more of who they truly are. There is another quiet detail that often goes unnoticed. The end of a hug matters just as much as the beginning. Some people hold on too long because they fear letting go. Others pull away so quickly that warmth never has a chance to settle. Emotional awareness means recognizing the rhythm of the shared moment. When both people naturally begin to separate, let the embrace end gracefully. Step back. Smile. Meet their eyes. Allow the warmth of the moment to continue through your expression instead of trying to extend it physically. Sometimes the smile after the hug says more than the hug itself. It quietly communicates, "I'm grateful we shared this moment." No pressure, no expectation, no hidden agenda, just appreciation. That kind of authenticity stays with people. Hours later, they may not remember every sentence you spoke, but they remember how relaxed they felt in your presence. They remember that they never felt rushed. They remember that they never had to question whether you respected them. And in a world where many people are exhausted by manipulation, those simple memories become unforgettable. The greatest gift you can offer another human being is not perfect charm. It is emotional safety. Because when someone feels emotionally safe, they don't have to wear a mask. And when the masks finally come off, real relationships finally begin. There comes a moment in nearly every person's life when they stop asking, "How can I make someone like me?" and begin asking a far more meaningful question. Who am I becoming? That single question changes everything. Because attraction may open a door, but character determines whether anyone wants to stay inside. Too many people spend years polishing their appearance while neglecting their heart. They learn how to dress with confidence. They practice what to say. They memorize clever responses, yet when life becomes difficult, they have nothing deeper to offer. Relationships are not tested on perfect days. They are tested when expectations are disappointed, when misunderstandings appear, when stress enters, when silence feels uncomfortable. Anyone can appear charming during the first meeting. Very few people remain compassionate during conflict. That is where true emotional strength reveals itself. Picture a young woman sitting across from a man at a quiet cafe. The conversation has been flowing effortlessly for hours. They have laughed, shared childhood memories, spoken about dreams they have never told anyone else. As they leave, there is another warm, mutual hug. This time, nothing has changed physically, but something has changed emotionally. She no longer wonders whether he is trying to impress her. She senses something much rarer. He is simply being himself. There is no pressure to rush the relationship, no attempt to force intimacy, no need to prove anything. His calmness gives her permission to feel calm too. And that is something many people underestimate. Emotions are contagious. An anxious person often spreads anxiety. An impatient person spreads tension. A peaceful person spreads peace. Ask yourself honestly, when people spend time with you, do they leave feeling lighter or heavier? Do they feel heard or interrupted? Do they feel appreciated or evaluated? Those answers matter far more than any technique ever could. Life has a way of revealing what is genuine. You cannot pretend forever. Eventually, your habits introduce you before your words ever do. If you constantly seek validation, people notice. If you genuinely enjoy encouraging others, people notice that too. The world quietly responds to consistency. There is a reason some individuals become unforgettable without being the loudest voice in the telephone room. They make people feel important, not because they flatter them, because they pay attention. Attention is one of the greatest expressions of respect. When someone speaks, are you already preparing your reply, or are you truly listening? When someone shares a fear, do you rush to solve it, or do you first acknowledge what they are feeling? The heart recognizes patience. It also recognizes selfishness. And while selfishness may hide behind charm for a while, it cannot stay hidden forever. There is an old lesson worth remembering. Imagine holding a handful of sand. Grip it tightly, and it slips through your fingers. Hold it gently, and it remains. Relationships often work the same way. The harder someone tries to control every outcome, the more connection begins to disappear. Control creates resistance. Respect creates closeness. This is why emotional maturity is so attractive. A mature person understands that affection cannot be demanded. It must be freely given. Trust cannot be rushed. It must be patiently earned. Love cannot be manipulated. It must be nurtured. Many people are searching for someone who makes their heart race. But after enough life experience, they begin searching for someone who calms their heart instead. That shift is wisdom. Excitement may capture attention. Peace captures commitment. Think about the strongest trees in a forest. They do not grow overnight. They withstand storms because their roots run deep beneath the surface. Relationships grow the same way. Shared laughter becomes roots. Honest conversations become roots. Respect during disagreement becomes roots. Small acts of kindness become roots. Every promise kept becomes another root. One day, a storm arrives. Miscommunication, distance, stress, loss. If the relationship was built only on excitement, it struggles. If it was built on trust, it bends without breaking. That is why your everyday behavior matters so much. How you treat waiters, how you speak about people who are not present, how you respond when someone tells you no, how you handle disappointment. These moments quietly reveal your character, and character always speaks louder than charm. One evening, an elderly teacher was asked by a room full of young people what quality had brought the greatest joy into his life. Many expected him to say, intelligence. Others thought he would say, ambition. Instead, he smiled and answered with one simple word, consideration. The room fell silent. He continued, the people who changed my life were the ones who consistently considered how their actions affected others. What profound wisdom. Imagine if more people entered relationships asking not, what can I get, but how can I contribute? How many arguments would disappear? How many misunderstandings would soften? How many lonely hearts would finally feel understood? The greatest relationships are partnerships, not competitions. Neither person is trying to win. Both are trying to understand. Both are learning. Both are growing. And growth requires humility. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less often. It means celebrating another person's success without jealousy. It means apologizing without defending your ego. It means recognizing that being kind is more valuable than always being right. That lesson reaches far beyond romance. It transforms friendships, families, communities, leadership. The world desperately needs more people who choose understanding over pride. As you continue your own journey, remember this. Every warm greeting, every sincere compliment, every respectful hug, every patient conversation, every moment where you choose empathy instead of ego, you are becoming someone people feel safe remembering, not because you mastered a technique, but because your actions consistently reflected integrity, and integrity has a quiet power that no performance can ever imitate. Long after appearances fade, long after clever words are forgotten, long after excitement settles into everyday life, people continue returning to those who make them feel respected, accepted, and emotionally safe, because those are the rare souls who remind us what genuine human connection was always meant to feel like. As the years pass, something remarkable begins to happen. The people who once chased shortcuts begin searching for substance. The people who once measured relationships by excitement alone begin valuing consistency. And those who once believed that confidence meant never showing emotion slowly discover that true confidence has always looked very different. It looks like patience. It looks like self-control. It looks like kindness that expects nothing in return. Life has a beautiful way of revealing what truly lasts. Appearance changes, trends disappear, perfect words are forgotten, but the feeling of being genuinely respected can remain in someone's heart for years. That is why the smallest moments often become the biggest memories. A warm smile after a difficult day, a reassuring conversation when someone doubts themselves, a sincere embrace shared with mutual comfort and respect, a quiet promise that is actually kept. These moments may seem ordinary, yet they become the foundation upon which extraordinary relationships are built. Imagine an old photograph discovered inside a forgotten box. Two people are smiling. There is nothing glamorous about the picture. No luxury. No dramatic scenery. Just two ordinary people standing close together. Years later, the photograph still brings tears to someone's eyes. Not because of how perfect they looked, but because they remember how deeply they trusted each other. That is the kind of legacy every human being has the opportunity to create. Not a legacy of manipulation. Not a legacy of clever techniques. A legacy of making people feel safe, valued, and appreciated. Ask yourself this question. If every word you spoke today disappeared tomorrow, what would remain? Would people remember your generosity, your honesty, your reliability? Would they remember that you listened without judgment, that you respected boundaries without complaint, that your affection was always given freely and never used as a bargaining tool? Those are the memories that endure. There is an old craftsman who spends decades building beautiful furniture. Someone once asked him why he devoted so much attention to the parts no one would ever see. He answered with quiet confidence. Because I will know they are there. Character works the same way. The moments no one applauds. The kindness no camera records. The promises no one forces you to keep. Those invisible choices become the strongest parts of who you are. Eventually, they become impossible to hide. People begin trusting you before they fully understand why. They feel calmer around you. They open up more easily. Not because you have mastered psychology, but because your life quietly communicates honesty. There is incredible strength in becoming predictable in the best possible way. Predictably respectful, predictably patient, predictably encouraging, predictably trustworthy. In a world filled with uncertainty, consistency becomes a rare gift. Many spend years asking how to become more attractive. Perhaps a better question is this. How can I become someone whose presence brings peace? When you become that person, your conversations change. Your friendships deepen. Your relationships become healthier, not because life becomes perfect, but because your foundation becomes stronger. Remember, affection is never measured by how intensely you can create emotion in a single moment. It is measured by how faithfully you protect another person's dignity over time. Every mutual hug that leaves someone feeling respected, every conversation where they feel heard, every goodbye that carries gratitude instead of pressure, these are quiet victories. They rarely make headlines, but they shape lives. One day, someone may struggle to remember exactly what you said during your first meeting. They may forget what clothes you wore. They may even forget where you first crossed paths. Yet they will remember something far more important. They will remember how peaceful they felt around you. And that memory is worth more than any rehearsed line or carefully planned gesture. Because people do not simply fall in love with appearances. They grow attached to experiences. They cherish the rare feeling of being accepted without needing to perform. The greatest relationships are built by two imperfect people who continually choose respect over ego, patience over pride, and understanding over control. If you carry that lesson into every part of your life, something extraordinary begins to happen. You stop chasing validation. You start creating value. You stop asking how to influence every outcome. You start becoming someone whose integrity influences others naturally. That transformation is quiet. It is gradual, but it is powerful. And perhaps that is the greatest secret of all. Not learning how to change another person's feelings, but becoming the kind of person whose character makes genuine connection possible. Because in the end, the most meaningful embrace is never remembered for where a hand was placed. It is remembered for how two hearts, guided by mutual respect and sincere care, felt completely at ease in each other's presence. That is the kind of connection that time cannot erase. That is the kind of attraction that cannot be forced. And that is the kind of life worth building. One respectful choice, one honest conversation, and one genuine act of kindness at a time.